The series starts with Alina Michaels having some intimate time with her boyfriend, Philip McAdams. Without warning, she feels pulses coming from inside her body. She decides to run for it, leaving her boyfriend hanging in confusion. It turns out, the pulses she feels are signs of her painful transformation into a werewolf. She has to do it away from humans to be safe on both sides. Then she proceeds to hunt in the nearby forest. What she doesn't know is that in another, much farther place, an unforgivable act is taking place, which will change the course of her life from then on. The next day, Alina meets with her psychologist Logan Johnson to relay her worries about her true identity. Logan is also a fellow werewolf and is looking out for her since she ran away from their pack. She tells him that she has been suppressing her transformation for a month now. When it came last night, she was helpless and gave into it. Logan chastises her, telling her that it's not normal for their kind to suppress their transformation. A run once a week would prevent such an unwanted incident from happening. Alina refuses to do so, saying that it will only disrupt her assimilation into human life. She ran away to Canada to leave her pack behind and start a new life as a human. After the session, she thanks him for providing support when needed. Days pass. Alina is invited to Philip's awarding ceremony, where she also meets his mother and sisters. At the onset, the mother doesn't like Alina. This would have made an awkward night for all of them. But something happens that distracts her from her boyfriend's austere mother. She receives a summon from her pack leader, Jeremy Danvers. It turns out, on the same night of her last transformation, a woman has been found murdered near the premises of Stonehaven Manor in New York. Currently, Jeremy is the one living in the place and finds out about the incident when he drives by the crime scene. The responding police officers deduce that the elimination is the result of a wolf attack. Although, in their mind, they suspect that a much more dangerous creature is the culprit and that it is hiding in the manor. Jeremy promises to cooperate with the authorities, but at the back of his head, he already knows that it is the doing of a rogue mutt. As the alpha of the pack, it is his privilege to command his members to come back in times of need. It is also his responsibility to keep watch on werewolves that are not members of any pack. So, he summons his members to deal with the situation. There is Antonio Sorrentino with his son, Nick. Also included are Peter Myers, Logan, and Alina. Alina is the only female werewolf in the pack, and in the whole werewolf existence. Last but not least is Clay Danvers, Alina's ex-lover and the reason why she ran away in the first place. Antonio, Nick, and Clay are the first ones to answer Jeremy's summons. They could have started with their investigation, but Jeremy wants Alina to be there, as she is the best tracker in the pack. Meanwhile, Alina meets with Logan and Peter. She whines to them about how she is already settling in her life without getting reminded of her true identity. She doesn't want to have anything to do with being a werewolf. She is afraid that she might commit another sin, just like the last time. Peter and Logan try to understand her. They also remind her that no matter what she does, no matter who she tries to be, she cannot run away from who she really is. She is a werewolf, a valuable member of their pack, and nothing can change it. They still try to persuade her to answer Jeremy's summons. Yet Alina remains adamant on turning her back on her home. But it looks like fate is not abiding with her wishes. Philip finds out through a coincidence that someone named Jeremy is trying to call his girlfriend. Feeling caught, Alina has no choice but to weave a false story to hide the truth. She tells him that her original family is trying to contact her. They are calling her to come home to grieve for a relative who had a car accident. At first, she tells Philip that she doesn't intend to come. But after a run with Logan, where she got injured by another mutt, she changes her mind. With the excuse of taking care of her relative's kids, she tells her boyfriend that she'll come to New York. Finally, after a year of running away, she comes home to Stonehaven Manor. Welcoming her is her ex-lover, Clay. It is obvious from his actions that he still harbors strong feelings for her. But she doesn't want to have anything to do with him. She wants to do her part as soon as possible so she can go back to Canada. In fact, as soon as she steps inside the manor, she looks for Jeremy and offers to track the murderous mutt right away. But the alpha isn't at home when she arrives. In addition, Clay warns her to not transform in daylight, as the town has already set a bounty to be given to whoever will capture the wolf. In the end, Alina settles in her old room. She warns her ex to never come near her. Looking at these two, one can only wonder what Clayton did to earn Alina's wrath. Returning home, Alina is forced to remember the memories she shared with Clay. She even dreams of completely giving in to his advances. But she has to remind herself that she has a new life now. That Philip is waiting for her, and he is her new love now. She mingles with the members of the pack, who are all happy to see her. She suggests again that they start tracking, but Jeremy is firm about waiting for Logan to come before taking action. With the alpha's decision, the rest decides to spend the time sparring. Alina and Nick are equals in physical abilities. Like siblings, they tease each other, as if they haven't been separated for a long time. Clay joins the fray, and easily beats Nick. Alina refuses to engage, so Clay is left in frustration. Jeremy and Antonio watch them. Jeremy wishes for Alina to stay, to remember that she will always be a part of their group no matter where she goes. Antonio agrees, and adds that they can only hope that a good reason to stay can outweigh the bad. That night, Alina visits the crypt where she used to compile all the information whenever they track a rogue mutt. In there, she reads a scroll that reminds her of the laws of her kind. There are two factions of werewolves: noble packs, who uphold the policies of their race, and mutts, lone werewolves that have to be guarded at all times. They are forbidden to change in front of a human, or take a human's life. The second rule can only be broken when the first rule is broken, whether intentionally or not. Female werewolves can only exist through biting, although it has long been speculated that they can't survive the process. That's why there are only male werewolves in existence. Until Alina. Peter joins her and they catch up on the mutts that have been captured since her departure from the pack. Then, driven by her curiosity and her want of confirmation, she asks him why he still keeps coming back despite having a good life elsewhere. He answers that he owes his life to Jeremy. He had an incident before where he unintentionally changed in front of a woman. In a panic, he took her life. Jeremy was the one who vouched for his life and saved him from being sentenced by the previous alpha. Since then, he vowed to change his ways and has always supported the current alpha. Peter wants Alina to understand that Jeremy is only doing what needs to be done for the survival of their kind. But she doesn't want it. After breaking one of their laws before, when she eliminated someone named Jose Carter, she wanted out. She doesn't want to take any more lives, and that's why she's doing her best to have as normal a life as possible. Peter warns her that if she keeps suppressing her wolf down, then the wolf won't stay down for too long. Later that night, Logan arrives. The pack is finally complete, so Jeremy orders everyone to track the mutt responsible for eliminating the woman on their premises. Alina, Clay, and Nick are grouped together. They changed in an alleyway far from any crowds. Then they start their hunt. In her wolf form, Alina has a heightened sense of smell and sight. She uses these senses to her great advantage, which led her to a part of the town where dilapidated trailer trucks are turned into makeshift apartments. Clay appears, as he has the right judgment to follow Alina. When they enter the premises, everything is in a rundown state. Alina can smell that this mutt they are hunting for is definitely not familiar, almost like a newly bitten werewolf. But what shocked her is the thing that she discovered in one of the open chests. It is a chunk of scalp with a good amount of hair still attached to it. She concludes that there has been another elimination. When Jeremy is told about this, he immediately trusts Alina's judgments. He orders everyone to guard the perimeter around the place and to investigate who could have bitten the mutt. He doesn't want indiscriminate eliminations done by inexperienced mutts. Alina is frustrated by the fact that they could have prevented this if only they started their tracking earlier. The next day, she goes to Jeremy to tell him she is quitting their hunt. She tells him that she doesn't want to be a part of any danger that their kind can do to humans. She gives her past as an example, when she eliminated Jose Carter. It appears that the man was blackmailing the pack, and Alina was sent to negotiate. But Jose did not budge and even enjoys the fact that he can expose so many werewolves. Alina wasn't able to control her temper. In one quick move, she snatched his Jeremy justifies that what she did before was to protect the pack, therefore, she shouldn't be held responsible for the murder. But Alina thinks otherwise. With that, she packs her bag and steps out of the manor. Clay tries to stop her. She might have continued walking on if Nick hadn't come and led them to another crime scene. This time she is devastated. With this string of merciless eliminations, it creates more pressure for Jeremy and the pack to quickly apprehend the culprit. Can this change Alina's mind and make her stay in Stonehaven Manor, who could be doing all these attacks? And the most important question, why are they doing this when they know very well it is against their law? The next episode picks up where we left off last time, with Alina and the pack discovering the lifeless body of a right in the premises of Stonehaven. They are all worried about this situation being added to the first murder victim, and another report of a missing woman that is also connected to this entire wolf business. Clay wants to bury the body to avoid gaining more suspicion from authorities, but Jeremy decided against it. Besides, it's too late to do it, as Brock Johnson arrives with his friends and dogs. He is actually the one who discovered the first murder victim. And now that he has witnessed another victim, there's no doubt in his mind that Jeremy Danvers and his company are definitely involved in these cases. The police arrive. When they see the body, they decide they have no choice but to involve higher authorities. Sheriff Karen Morgan is mystified as to why would be murdered and dumped into the Danvers property. Jeremy gathers the pack and discusses this grim development. They have concluded that this is not a simple indiscriminate killing involving a mutt, but rather an organized ploy to direct the spotlight on them and restrict their movements. They finally decide to alter their actions. Jeremy and Antonio will deal with the police to de-escalate any possible trouble. Since Alina has decided to stay, she and Clay will roam around town to track the scent of the mutt. They are advised to start with the bars. Nick, Peter, and Logan will contact Carl Marston, a lone mutt who might have valuable insights on their situation. With their orders given, everyone springs into action. Clay and Alina walk around town. Then they run into Jack, one of the friends that was with Brock earlier. Tensions arise between him and Clay, with the latter denying any involvement in the incidents. Alina diffuses the situation, but this encounter will add more to the pressure on their pack later on. She sees a poster of a bar announcing a rave party that night. The couple decides to check it first. Meanwhile, Nick brings Peter and Logan into a basement that is being renovated into a man cave. Being a successful businessman, Nick envisions this place to do well in the future. But for now, this will be the place where they'll interrogate Carl Marston. who, surprisingly, arrives a few minutes after them. They expect him to be coming from a faraway place, so his quick appearance there is unnerving. The trio is in for another surprise when Carl lets them know that he is aware of what is happening with the pack. He offers to find the one responsible for creating mutts. He is confident that it will take him no time to do so. Logan, being the intellectual among the three and suspicious about Carl, asks what his demands will be in exchange for his cooperation. Carl says that he doesn't want much. He only asks for a territory of his own, where he can rest when he's not abroad. This is something that the pack has been denying him for years. Carl is cunning enough to use the intel he has to leverage his request. The trio says they will ask Jeremy about it. And with that, Carl Marston leaves. Nighttime arrives. Clay and Alina are getting ready to enter the rave club. Alina has confirmed that the same scent of the mutt they have been hunting for the past days is here. She suggests she goes inside alone, since Clay is not reliable for interrogations due to his hot-headedness. He doesn't want to at first, but eventually gives in. Alina enters the club. She follows the scent until she pinpoints the man in the crowd. It should not be surprising that Scott Brandon, the mutt the pack has been hunting for, can sense Alina's true identity. She confronts him for the killings he has done. But Scott justifies his actions for simply having fun. He grabs her and intimidates her. However, Alina is not a pushover. She easily overpowers the man. She clutches his chest until she can practically grab his heart. This triggers his painful transformation into a werewolf. With quick thinking, she drags him into an empty office and confines him there. She hears pain groans, then ferocious growls, followed by harsh scratchings on the door. Then everything becomes quiet on the other side. When Alina opens it, she is horrified that the mutt has escaped through the wooden ceiling. Her hunch is correct. The loud, noisy beats in the bar are replaced by terrified screams. The mutt has shown himself to the crowd, and it doesn't care how many people it will add to its body count. The people rush towards the only entrance. This makes it hard for Clay, who has heard the commotions, to enter. The mutt rushes towards the DJ and bites him. Alina runs after the werewolf, but due to the panicking people, she can't catch up to it. Then she finds it devouring another person. This time a woman, and it's too late to save her. Clay finally enters the premises, but the werewolf is able to avoid both his and Alina's entrapment. The mutt runs outside, where the police have just arrived on time. They all witness the ferocious beast growling at them. Finally, they find the wolf responsible for all the murders. The creature tries to run to the other side. Unfortunately, it is by a truck dashing through the road. Inside, Clay and Alina try to help the man bitten by the mutt. They both know he is about to undergo the excruciating pain of transformation. Clay decides to take matters into his own hands. When the two are back in Stonehaven Manor, Alina confronts him to never do it again. She is being forcefully reminded of the days when she was still with the pack, and she used to hunt for rogue mutts together with him. She is trying to forget all of the past, until that night. Seeing that they have already dealt with the culprit, she sees no reason to stay. The police are investigating the scene where the werewolf died. The suspicions are already lifted from the Danvers. All seems well. Or is it? Back in Canada, Alina and Logan are sharing a good meal with their respective partners when Logan receives a call that bears unexpected news. Peter has been ambushed and murdered. The pack gathers again at Stonehaven to mourn for their brother. Alina experiences a new emotion, grief. Growing up as an orphan, she has never known a time when she had to grieve for a loved one. She didn't know her parents then, so she never saw any reason to grieve for them. But since becoming a werewolf, the pack has become her family. Jeremy being the father she never had, and the boys, except for Clay, the brothers she never had. Now that one of them has been brutally killed, Alina realizes her grief turns into anger and vengeance. She wants to make the murderers pay for what they have done. Jeremy admits that they have underestimated the situation. After the death of the rogue mutt, they have all been complacent about their position. It feels like they are back to square one. He sends Antonio to close any loopholes that Peter's death might cause. Then he orders Nick to investigate the trailer truck where they first found the scent of the mutt. They need more information about its origins. Logan won't be joining, as he has a prior commitment back in Canada. Clay and Alina are sent again to town, to scope the overall mood of the people. In addition, they are to sniff the scent of the other mutt responsible for Peter's murder. It turns out, even after the death of the wolf, the people are still not relieved. They are wondering how the creature ever entered their town. Besides, Clay's tension with Jack is still unresolved. This time, the guy tells Clay and Alina that Brock Johnson is missing. Since he saw Clay being aggressive to his friend, he insinuates that the former has something to do with the disappearance. Alina shuts down the implication by showing her physical prowess to Jack. She tells him that they are doing the best they could to help solve the disappearance. They walk away, leaving Jack angry and confused. As they both patrol the streets, Alina catches a whiff of the murderers. The scent leads her to a two-story motel. They decide to check the second floor, since Alina thinks the mutt they are hunting for isn't smart enough to choose a room on the first floor. True enough, one of the rooms has a stronger hint of the mutt scent. They enter it and search for possible clues. Alina finds a scrapbook of all news articles reporting deaths of many women, including a piece of anything they owned when they were still alive. Along with the killed mutt in the rave club, the two speculate that someone is turning psychotic killers into werewolves. Before they can discuss further, they hear someone arriving by car downstairs. When they look, they see Zachary Kane talking to the presumed owner of the room they are in. Zachary is a rogue mutt that is the sworn enemy of the pack. Another car arrives, and this time it's Carl Marston getting out of it. Clay and Alina have confirmed the three are working together. The two grab the scrapbook as evidence and escape, albeit not smoothly, as they are almost caught by Zachary. Nonetheless, they both made it safely to Stonehaven. When they have convened in the Manor's crypt, they all share their discoveries. Nick shares that Scott Brandon, the mutt in the rave club, was an ex-con. This supports the early theory that the mutts they are dealing with were previously psychopath killers, and their target is their pack. Jeremy theorizes that someone wants to destabilize their pack by sending out the mutts onto them. So if that's what they want, that's what they will get. The four of them return to the motel, only to find that it has been vacated, with a message specifically for Alina: "I'm coming for my scrapbook." Back in Canada, Logan gets a visit from an ex-pack member, Daniel Santos. He is asking Logan to mediate between him and the pack, as he has some valuable information about who can be behind turning psychopath into werewolves. He shares that he heard through a grapevine that Kane and Marston are in cahoots to destroy the pack. In return for this information, he wants back in. Meanwhile, Jeremy and the others keep on getting unwanted troubles. This time, the police are in their premises to search for Brock Johnson. Since there are witnesses of Clay's aggression towards the missing, the police think it's reasonable to start the search in Stonehaven's vast land. Alina and Nick join them, while Clay stays with Jeremy to avoid further grievances. True enough, Alina is the first one to find the lifeless body on the premises. She decides to not let the rest see it, to deviate suspicions from their group. She transfers the body into a different place just outside the Stonehaven perimeter. While doing this, she is reminded of her origins as a werewolf. Clay Danvers was an anthropology professor, while she used to work for him as a writing aide. They fell in love. Then Clay decided to introduce her to his father figure, Jeremy. Jeremy was not exactly thrilled about her presence in the mansion. When he offered her tea, a huge werewolf appeared and approached Alina. At first it was meek and hesitant, but then it suddenly became agitated and bit her hand. This started the painful process of her transformation. Jeremy confined her in a cage in the crypt. He expected her to die after a couple of days, but he was surprised when, instead, Alina fully transformed into a werewolf with blonde fur. Since then, she became the first and only female werewolf known to their existence. Jeremy decided to include her in the pack, and taught her their ways. Alina joined them in their hunts, all the while harboring intense hate for her former lover Clay. She followed their ways, up until one day when she decided to leave for good. In the present, she approaches the Alpha, and for the third time since the start of the show, she tells him again that she must leave. She pleads with him not to call her again, because they both know she won't be able to resist answering his call. With that emotional goodbye, she walks away. Will that be the last time Alina steps foot in Stonehaven? How will the pack deal with the information Daniel Santos told them? Stay tuned to find out what will happen in the next episodes.